Yeah.
I can't wait. I'm gonna Omega Man.
Okay, I'm gonna try.
Finally, somebody gets to take the title. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Yeah. We're just going to laugh for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
We're going to start out because I've got it. This is very well noted. Firstly, congratulations.
Oh, well, thank you.
It's been a very eventful first year on Green Lantern.
Yes.
But this has been interesting because you came onto it. You had 2 issues. You go into Night Terrors.
Yes.
You get more of a run where you can do your own thing, and now you're into Absolute Power. But kind of putting the event stuff aside, what's been the highlight of this first year of Hal and Green Lantern?
I mean, just trying to figure out who Hal is as a character that I want to write.
Yeah.
Also, why everybody hates Hal so much, and trying to convince them that, hey, it's not that bad. That's always been, that's a task. But also just trying to dive through the mythology and figure out how I can adjust or deconstruct or talk about that mythology within the context of the story to make something new. And that's always a hard thing when you're dealing with a character that's been around as long as it has. Hal hasn't been the lead of the story for a long time, so there's a little bit of pressure in that way. And also dealing with, some of the bigger components, which, the emotional spectrum and whatnot like that. So trying not to retread it in a way that it feels derivative, but trying to do it in a way that feels like exciting and new and it's leading to something. And that's been hard, but it's been fun.
Yeah. Well, I will freely admit, I have never really read Green Lantern, but...
Oh, amazing.
Jeremy Adams comes onto a book. I'm picking it up. Yeah,
he has a
ring. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm reading this, and I'm like, okay, I love this.
Oh, good.
I feel like I now kind of know who he is.
Right.
And I love the way you have constructed it, in that we start with him, on Earth, and we're small scale.
Right.
And then
slow.
we kind of, we grow, and it's very slow burn.
Right.
And it kind of felt to me like that was you getting to know him as well.
It's 100% that.
Yeah.
It's 100% that. It was me trying to figure it out, but also do it in a way that we can start talking about Carol and talking about things and pace it in a way that people can get invested in terms of emotionally who they are. I think the turning point for me was I did an issue with Barry guest starring.
Yeah.
And it was the conversation that Barry and Hal were having at the end, and it was like, here they are, these old school superheroes that are watching the young ones take the mantle, and where does that leave them?
Yeah.
Especially when their sidekicks are just maybe a little more emotionally secure, whatever. But I like the idea of Hal coming back to home, but what is home to him? Somebody that's been out for so long, protecting this place, but has he ever really made it a home? Mm-hmm. And it really comes down to him wanting to be Carol, but also realizing that he can't keep pursuing this relationship if it's one-sided or if he keeps disappearing and coming back. So it definitely becomes a little more soapy and a little more serialized, but I'm working to a place where the status quo of Green Lantern will change so that I can tell more interesting one-off stories if need be.
Yeah, and you just touched on Carol, and that was another thing that really struck me, was she is almost a co-lead in this.
Yes.
Her story is equally as important as Hal's.
Yes.
And I feel like you've given her so much agency as a character.
I hope so.
No, you really have.
Yeah.
Because again, not being massively well-versed in Green Lantern, I feel like she's the love interest.
Yes.
But she is not just the love interest.
Right.
And you have them in a position now where obviously we don't quite know what happens to her after what happened in the most recent issue.
Yeah.
But it almost, I don't want to say it feels like Lois and Clark, because that's wrong. I'm not trying to compare them and say the same, but she has that kind of character and that agency now that she really feels like an important part of the story, rather than just this person who comes in and out of his life that adds a bit of romance to the subplot.
Right.
Was
That's
that something that
hope.
was important?
Yeah. It's my hope. I mean, obviously I got a taste for how much fun I was having writing Linda in the Flash book.
Yeah.
And it's a totally different relationship. This is more of a relationship of, I think, even the flashback, it's this feeling of when you love, it's sort of like your siblings, where you're just not but where you're sitting there going I know them so well, I don't treat them as well as I should.
Yeah.
And with her and Hal, they've known each other forever, and they've been in love in some form forever. And it's because of that knowing, because of that familiarity, maybe they take each other for granted sometimes. And so there is a maturity that needs to take place, and a little bit of both of them coming to terms with what they want and committing to what they want. But on the flip side, Carol is a character not just as a CEO, whatever. The Star Sapphire angle is like, how can I write Star Sapphire as try to make her a very important superhero?
Yeah.
And so you'll see upcoming, especially in like the Absolute Power JSA Task Force, there's the stuff with Carol. There's stuff with her kind of like internal monologue where she's going like, do I want to try to be a hero? Because in previous incarnations of Carol being Star Sapphire, she was very capable. But some of that had to do with the Predator and some other stuff that she was possessed by, or that she was, and I really want her to question it, because I want her decision to be somewhat final. As final as it is for me writing the book, you know what I mean? But I like her as a character. I like her as a female superhero. I have daughters. I like the idea of making more characters that they can kind of go, oh, that character's cool. And I think Carol can be that. And I think she is that. I just think that if I can define for me her power set and her ability, and could other superheroes come along and show her more stuff of how to be a hero? I don't know. It's just interesting to me, because I think I can play with her a little more.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
And you came into this world at kind of a perfect point, really, because you have, the Guardians are missing in action.
Right.
Oa is now under the control.
Right.
I keep wanting to say the United Federation of Planets. The Star Trek fan in me keeps going, the United Federation of Planets.
Engage.
The United Planets.
Yeah.
And it kind of gives you this, once you've gotten past those first few issues and getting to know Hal, it just grows.
Yeah. And I was told, like, oh, you can just write a sentence and everything's back to normal. I was like, no, I can't. I'm a nerd. I have to explain.
Work for it.
I have to explain. And I'm picking up off of Jeff Thorne's run and just kind of taking the torch from there. And he put a lot of those stuff in place. And so it was a great runway for me to tell a bigger a story that I want to tell, and mysteries. And I don't know, I'm enjoying it.
Well, I'm enjoying it too.
Good. As a person that doesn't know about Green Lantern.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm buying into it. Yeah. I am with this now. Obviously, Flash was your first kind of ongoing, and this is your second hero that you are on now. Has it? I don't want to say easier. That's the wrong term.
It's not.
Do you feel like you're like, okay, I kind of have an idea what I'm doing here now?
No, zero. Every time I turn in a script, I'm like, well, here's hoping.
Now?
Yeah. Flash was by the end. Flash was so much easier for me. Mm-hmm. I was writing something that I was so emotionally
1 minute war,
involved.
amazing.
Yeah, I was so emotionally involved in that book, and that character, and the family, and all that stuff. That was really hard for me. Hal is much more like it is hard to get a grip on the guy a little bit.
Okay.
And more than that, the mythology of Green Lantern is so massive.
Yeah.
Trying to go around that. Trying to go around the Green Lantern mythology and figure out where I can push, where I can not push, bringing back characters like Tom Kalamaku, trying to figure out what's the current continuity, what's allowed, what's not allowed. It's a bit of a chore sometimes, but it's great.
Yeah.
It's much more serialized, it's much more soapy than like Flash was, but I am also trying to get to a place where I feel like the Green Lantern universe will be clearly defined in a way that anybody can take Green Lantern and not that they can take it from me.
No.
Not yet, anyways.
My cold, dead hands.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not the picture with the rings, it's the picture like this. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm hoping that people will be receptive to where we land. But I'm having a lot of fun getting there.
And then, obviously, we're now in Absolute Power, but right before we come into this, you're at a point where we see a lot of the Green Lanterns of Earth kind of all working together. They're all in the same vicinity.
Yes.
And I feel like the whole Dawn of DC initiative leading up to this point where we go into Absolute Power has been very much family orientated. We've seen a lot more of the Super family, we've seen a lot more of the Bat family. They've all worked together more, the Flash family as well.
First.
So what's it been like, bringing in those other Green Lanterns now at this point where you are in the story and kind of getting to write for them as well?
It's important. It was very important because obviously there was lead-ins with the backups, and we wanted to make that critical to see where they all are. Also revealing, at least in our continuity, the importance of 2814 Lanterns as kind of the stopgap, the designated survivors for the Lantern Corps if things go wrong. So me as the nerd, trying to explain why is there so many Earth Lanterns doesn't make a lick of sense. And going, no, the Guardians knew that humans were the cockroaches of the universe, and no matter what, they're going to survive. just seemed like a cool way to show their importance, and also the kind of prophetical nature of what the Guardians were saying, because they're the ones that are still running. They're the ones still going. And we've got a few other alien lanterns, and we're going to bring some more alien lanterns in. But I also know that people are just big fans of those human lanterns. I want people to come back to the book. I want people to pick up the book and be like, oh, I love Kyle.
Yeah.
What's going on with Kyle?
Yeah.
I love Guy, etc. So, and everybody loves Kyle. So that's, we got big plans for him.
I can't help but notice we've just cleared out the entire of DC.
You see Jim Lee just walk away like, I don't want to hear this trash anymore.
Are we now in charge?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
I am the king of DC. I have declared, but now, I don't know, what is Damage Control? No, that's a different book. Different publisher.
Well, before they kick us out, obviously we are now in
comics.
We are now in absolute power, and Hal is not in a great place.
No.
In that first issue that's a tie-in.
He's very connected to the emotional spectrum, so things are wacky inside of his brain.
Yeah. Anything you would like to tease that you can say?
Not at all.
Especially with no one here.
Yeah. Oh, well,
we can say everything. Yeah.
Well, just between us. No, I mean, obviously Kyle is hugely important to lanterns in general, but because of his connection and his White Lantern connection and stuff to the emotional spectrum, it just seemed reasonable to me that he would be being affected more than others.
Yeah.
Which will lead to something else. Bum bum bum.
And we will leave it there. Thank you so much. As always, it's a pleasure. Until next time.
Until next time, yeah. All right.
Thanks for watching, Super Friends. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to hit the subscribe button just down below and hit the bell so that you can get notified whenever we release brand new videos. In fact, there's 2 more waiting for you to watch right here below. So what are you waiting for? Why not click play?